Good day, sir. Good day, classmate. I am Jeff Matthew M. Zamora, and I am a member of the Group 4, and we are assigned to present the roots. First, the objective of this presentation is to know the two root system. Next is to know the different root modifications, and lastly, to know its various functions. So first, let's define what is the taproot system. The taproot system produces lateral branches which are known as the secondary roots, and these in turn produce the tertiary roots, and so on. All these lateral roots are produced in acropetal succession, including example, the older and the longer roots are away from the tip, and the younger and shorter ones are towards it. The second one is the fibrous root system. In monocotyledons, the radicle also gives rise to the primary root, but this does not develop any further and soon perishes and is replaced by many thin roots developed from base of the stem. These are known as the fibrous roots. Such roots also develop from nodes of stems, as in sugarcane, bamboo, and other grasses. Thus, fibrous root system may be regarded as characteristic of monocotyledons. So this is the figure 34.2 root systems. The A represents the taproot system and the B represent the fibrous root systems of maize. So the example of the taproot systems are cucurbits species, legumes, flowers including roses and gumamela, while the fibrous root systems are the monocot one, the grasses like corn, rice, coconut, pineapples, and orchids. So next, let's proceed to the regions of the root. The tip of each root is covered by a protective root cap, a thimble-shaped covering of cells which fits over the rapidly growing meristematic region, the calyptrogen. The outer part of the root cap is rough and uneven because its cells are constantly being worn away as the root pushes through the soil. The growing point consists of actively dividing meristematic cells from which all the other tissues of the root are formed. So this is the figure 34.3 longitudinal section of root tip showing various regions of growth and root cap. So as you can see in this figure, this is the root cap, this portion, and we can see that the elongation, region of elongation, and the region of cell division, this part. Then these are the pericycle, the endodermis, root hair, epidermis, and cortex, stem, etc. So, di na kita kaayo bagoan ni kay na-discuss na ni Sir sa previous na mga lesson.
Good day, sir. So I am the next reporter. My name is Marjini Chorna, and I'm gonna put the kind of roots. There are two kind of roots: the taproot and the adventitious roots. Taproots, they are the kind of roots that develop directly from the radicle. So they are the main roots of a primary root system. System and vertically downward to the soil. There are large central and dominant root from which other roots sprout laterally. It is called taproot because it is long, thick root that prints straight downward to the soil. So the next one is the adventitious roots. So the roots developed from any part of the plant other than the radicle are known as adventitious roots. So they can develop from, for example, in the stem of the plants or any organs of the plants, or sometimes leaf. So we are at the regions of the roots. As you can see at the tip, you can see the root cap. So the root cap, most of the cells that protects the roots from mechanical damage. And next is the region of cell division. In this region, cells are perpetually dividing, meaning there's constant generation of new cells. That it is where cell constant regenerate. So next is the region of elongation. It is the region that where cells grow in size, lengthening the root as they grow. Cells of this region are elongated and enlarged. So next is the region of maturation. It is here that cells get their final function assigned depending on where they are located in the root. And also in the region of maturation, it is where the root hairs are formed. So there are main three categories of the adventitious roots. First is the fibrous roots. So fibrous roots made up of many small roots, all about the same size. Roots grow out in many directions. Example of fibrous roots are grasses. So next is the foliar roots, the roots that develop from the leaf, known as foliar roots. And in foliar roots, these arise from the petiole. This type of roots which arises from the veins of the leaf. And next is the true adventitious roots. Such roots are given off by many plants from their roots and sometimes from the internude as they creep on the ground. Example in Indian pennywort. The adventitious roots are also produced from branch cutting when they are put into the soil, in rose, sugarcane, tapioca, for example. So true adventitious roots grow from depending on where they are produced. For example, branch cutting.
Modifications of roots. Many roots of peculiar form and function are known among angiosperms. All these are derived from normal type by the specialized development of one or other of its characteristic functions or structures in a manner suitable to a special circumstances. When the modification of the roots are being considered, it is implied that the simple type of absorbing root in the soil was the earliest type to be involved and that specialized forms have been derived from it. Modifications of taproot. For storage of food, there are four types of it. First, we have fusiform root. The primary root is swollen in the middle and gradually tapering towards the apex and the base. For example, radish. Second, napiform root. The primary root becomes considerably swollen at the upper part. It becomes almost spherical and sharply tapering towards lower end. It is called napiform root. Example, turnip and beet. Third, we have conical root. In this case, the root is broad at the base and it gradually tapers towards the apex like a cone. For example, carrots. Fourth, we have tuberous root. Here, the root becomes thick and fleshy but does not maintain any specific shape. It is known as tuberous or tubercular root. Example, in 4 o'clock plant, mirabilis. And this is the image. Also, we have branch root modification, pneumatophores. There are the centers of active respiration, and their vertical growth may be necessary to place the absorbing roots at the most favorable level. Examples are seen in these places.
Modification of adventitious root for food storage. Number 1 is tuberous roots. Such adventitious roots are swollen without any definite shape. These roots form at or near the base of the original plant. Example of this is sweet potato and taro, and many others. Fasciculated roots. In this type of modification of roots, several tubercular roots occur in a cluster at the base of the stem, either bloated or produce clusters of the root tubers. Example of this is asparagus and dahlia, etc. Nodulous roots. In such modification, the slender root becomes suddenly swollen near the apex. This root gets swollen due to the accumulation of food. Example of this is mango, ginger. 4. Moniliform roots. In such modification of root, there are some swellings at frequent intervals, and the roots are termed moniliform or bedded. Example of this is Mamardica. 5. Annulated roots. When the root possesses a series of ring-like swellings on its body, and is known annulated root. Example of this is grasses and bitter gourds. So these are the adventitious roots for food storage. A is tuberous root, B is fasciculated root, C is nodulous roots, D is moniliform roots, and E is annulated roots.
Good day, sir. This is my part of our reporting. Modifications of adventitious root for mechanical support. 6. Prop roots. Such roots are those which develop from the main branches of a tree. The best example of this is Ficus binghangelensis, the banyan tree. The prop roots grow straight downwards to the soil, which they enter and form underground branch roots. As the roots grow old, they increase in thickness due to secondary growth. 7. Stilt roots. Adventitious roots sometimes form supporting stilts. The maize or Gia maize plant has a tall, slender stem. It develops a cluster of roots from the first one or two nodes above ground level. They grow obliquely downwards into the soil and give added support to the stem. Stilt roots are also well known in pandanus. Here is the examples. 8. Climbing roots. Many tropical climbers like pepper beetle, P. longum, and P. nigrum photos, etc. produce roots from their nodes and often from the internodes, by means of which such plants attach themselves to their support and climb it. These roots cling closely to the bark of their supporting tree to ensure a foothold, such as roots secrete a kind of sticky juice which quickly dries up in the air, as seen in Hedera helix and Ficus pumila. Here's the example. C. For vital functions. 9. Sucking roots. Parasites among the flowering plants make use of modified roots as a means of penetrating the tissues of the host plant. In Oberanch, the primary root of the seedling performs these functions. It bears no root cap and is the only root formed by the parasite, which serves only for fresh attachment and may be modified roots. Coscuta has only temporary root in the seedling state. That's all, my part.
For vital functions, sucking root. Sucking roots are found especially in parasitic plants. These roots penetrate to the host tissue for the absorption of nutrients, and they are small in size. The next one is the respiratory roots. Respiratory roots or knee roots are characteristic of many species. They are project above the mud and have small opening lenticels alentes. Next one is the epiphytic roots. In many orchids, which grow on the branches of trees, the epiphytic roots are found, such as roots do not absorb any food from the supporting plant. The epiphytic roots are the aerial and hang freely in the air. Each hanging root is surrounded by spongy tissue known as velamen. With the help of velamen, The hanging root absorb moisture from the atmosphere. Example, vanda, the common orchid. The lesson is the assimilatory roots. In some plants, aerial adventitious roots form chlorophyll in them and become assimilatory in function. They synthesize food by photosynthesis. The common examples are Perospora and Trapa.
Since we're already finished about the root modification, let's proceed to the functions of the roots. So the root performs many functions. They may be mechanical, example fixation and physiological, also absorption, conduction, and storage. So first, let's define fixation. This is mechanical function. Here, the main root goes deep into the soil and the lateral roots spread out in different directions, with the result of root systems as a whole firmly anchors the plant. In monocots, this is done by the fibrous roots. So, fixation, mostly mag-undergo ani is yung mga leguminous plants like mangbin. The next is the absorption. So, as we all know, common jud talaga sa roots nga ang iyang function is absorption of water and food. So, the absorption of water and minerals from the soil is done with the help of the root hairs which develop in a cluster at a little distance behind the root apex. These root hairs adhere to the soil particles and absorb water and soluble mineral salts from them. Then the third one is conduction. The root is also concerned in the conduction of water and mineral salts, sending them upward into the stem and the leaves. So conduction, so we know that the phloem and xylem is the water and food. They distribute water and food throughout all the bodies of the plant. So conduction, of course, mura siya og bridge. Kumbaga yung phloem and xylem, sila yung mag-distribute sa food ug sa water para mag-survive or mag-grow healthily ang plants. Then lastly is the storage. So there is a certain amount of food stored up in the root, usually in its mature region. As the root grows further, the stored food is utilized. So ang isa gyapon sa kanang trabahoon sa root is yung storage, of course. So pag naka-absorb na yung root sa kanang enough na food, so iyaning i-distribute sa iyang body. So as it grow, ang iyaha pong roots is magtikadako. So this is the reference of our report, sir. So biology discussion by Sumana Batakari, essay on root. So you can search there regarding our topic, our slides. And thank you for listening, sir. And this is the member of our group.